But that's the total ABC chunk. So now we're going to move on and do the other side, which is the DE, which is going to be a mirror of what we've already done before. For assembling the D chunk, you're going to have this DO2 piece on the farthest left, and you're going to have these shorter hooks facing down. Next is D03 for this corner piece. And again, the hooks are going to be facing down. Now we have D04, and you're going to have the three hooks, so the three sets of hooks on top, interfacing with these sets, three sets of slots. This flap might be in the way, so you can just kind of wiggle it and pull it to the side as you get this D04 piece seated. The D05 pieces, I'm just going these two slots in the middle with the hooks going down. Next up is D06, and we're going to have these three sets of hooks on the top with the hooks facing down. Next is D07, and so we're just going to be looking for the hooks to be down. Next is D08, and we're looking for the shorter hooks to be facing down, and those are going to go into the slots furthest to the right. Now that we're done with the D chunk, we're going to move in to the E chunk. So this chunk is just like the A chunk, just it's mirrored. All right, now that we've got all our pieces cracked and creased, let's take E01 and then find E02. And this is going to insert into E01 with the hooks facing down. So just line the hooks up with the corresponding slots. Flip it over, give those a little twist, and then put the other hooks in. Alright, once all the hooks are in the slots and they're all folded, make sure everything kind of lines up, and then just push down to lock that piece into place. Right, that's EO2. Let's go find EO3. And so EO3, the hooks are going to be facing down as well. Give the hooks a little twist on the back side. Make sure the bottom here, the bottom isn't pushed through the slots, otherwise you won't be able to slide down. Use a card to open these slots up too. Alright, once these top hooks are in place, a little wiggle and just push down. There. Let's do the second EO3. They have the same name because they're duplicate pieces. Pull it a little from the bottom. Oh, so this bottom was kind of pushed through that slot, so make sure that's cleared there. Oh, see, I'm getting this bend, so that means something's wrong with this bottom slot still. So I'm just going to be kind of careful. Take another look. So just needed a little tweaking, and then I pulled down from the bottom. There. Last is going to be E04, and we're just going to orientate this so the hooks are down. All right, and that's E04. So let's put that onto the D chunk. So remember, when the chunks slide together, these hooks are going to be facing upwards. And we've got all our slots here. All right, so I got one side in. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to find those 3 sets of hooks right here. And I'm just going to give them a little twist. So you could use your tweezers for this, or if you can get your fingers in there, that's fine too. So they all just have a little twist. Now I'm going to do the other side. Also going to push this top flap just kind of up out of the way. We'll deal with that later. I'm just going to put it on top. And now we're going hooks through slots here. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. Flip it over, and we're going to find those 3 hooks. Give those a little twist. Boom. 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 And now, by pushing here and here and pinching the sides of this, I'm going to try to slide up. There we go. Took a little wiggling, but I didn't have to push too hard. So just make sure you're still flush up here, and then you should be at the same level here. So now let's deal with this little flap, which all we got to do is push it up and make sure these little tabs sit on the inside. There, nice and quick. All right, now let's get this chunk onto our bigger chunk. So this is ABC, and this is DE. So we're going to start with this front side with this single beam facing us, and we're going to go in with the left side of the DE chunk. And so we're just going to go these hooks to these slots. All right, this is a little tricky, so I'm going to open up these holes again. All right, I got all the hooks in, so I'm going to flip it, give the hooks a little twist. And then I'm going to push up. Just make sure you don't forget this bottom guy. And so when you push this up, make sure you put in pressure here, because that's the piece that you're actually slotting into. So Make sure everything's nice up there. I'm going to flip this over. So now we're looking at the back. And so with these hooks, which is now, it's now on the left side because we're looking at the back, all we're going to do is kind of slightly twist this just enough to get these hooks in right here, and then we're going to push it up. There. So these back connections pretty loose, so that should go in pretty easily. And then let's clean up this top flap here. So it's going to be a matter of folding these guys back a little bit and inserting this through this middle slot, which is a little hard to see, but there's a cut. There it is. There's a cut right here. And so we want this to go through there. I'm actually going to pop this steeple off to help me get a finger in there. So you do your best to try to get that shoved in, and then once you get that in, you can kind of fold it down on the inside. I would recommend probably opening up that slot a little bit more with the card, since that's a tricky one. Let's clean up these little tabs. Push down here. Get this steeple back on top. There. And so now we've only got one more chunk. So let's do that. That is going to be the F chunk. The F chunk is pretty straightforward. There's one tricky piece, but we'll get to that. Let's do all the folds. Oh, so this is going to be the only fold you fold away from the engraving rather than into it. And that's because we want this OT Bassett tower, and we want this engraving to be on the outside rather than the inside. So just make sure when you do your fold that is going to be, I'm going to use the cracker, is going to be on the outside. Give it a little crack, fold it, and so this is what I mean. So like on the outside of kind of this box fold, we have the engraving, and that's what we want. All right, and then all these inside little folds are just going to fold down and in. So let's go grab our FO2s. So we should have 5 of these, but we only need 4 of them. So if you have an extra, just put it aside, you don't need it. And then these ones, we're going to do the same as the others, where we're folding into the engraving because we want to hide it. So this is going to fold. So the best way to do this, I guess, is if you have this engraving up, these 2 side pieces are also going to fold up. This middle piece is also going to fold up. And then there's 2 more folds right here and here, and those are going to fold up as well. I'm just going to kind of move this flap real quick so you get a nice crease right there. Unfold these to get a nice crease right there, and then kind of get everything back into place. All right, and so this piece should look something like this. All right. But now with the base, we're going to take these FO2 pieces, and these hooks are going to go upwards. Hooks on the side, and there's just one of these for each corner. So I guess real quick, I'll open up some of these. I'm also going to open up the slots around OT Bassett Tower. So these pieces, they're just going to get hooked on either side, and then they're just going to push up to kind of fit snug. So it should be flush at the bottom. So you got those 4 there. And so now, this is the last piece, this F03 piece. So we're gonna kind of put that aside. But at this stage, we're gonna grab our ABCDE chunk, which is just this whole part of the building. We're gonna orientate it so this flat side is facing away from us and this single beam is facing towards us. And then this is going to slot straight down onto this. So to make sure this works, let's take a second and just make sure we've got good folds on this chunk, just making sure all these are folded in. All right, everything's pretty well folded there. And so now you're just going to try to slot this directly on top of here. So I'm starting on one side. I've got this kind of, I guess this is the BC chunk. So I'm starting on kind of one side, getting that chunk in first, and I'm just going to do it slowly and look around and see where it might be hitting something and just try to line it up a piece at a time. So we're good there, we're good here, so just a tiny tweak there. Come up to the front, a little tiny tweak here. And then now it looks like I'm pretty solid around, so now I can just push down. Maybe give it a little tweaking here and there. Make sure all your beams are fully seated, so you can just go around and kind of push on some of those, make sure everything's nice. And we're going to flip it over, and on this underside we're going to find those flaps on this top chunk that we kind of just folded in a second ago, and now we're going to unfold those. There's one there, there's one there. So there's going to be two flaps on the A chunk and the E chunk, here, 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 and here. And then there's going to be 2 flaps on the B and D chunk. So there's one here facing outwards, one here facing outwards, and then here facing outwards, here facing outwards. And that's it. So once you got those folded out, that should lock the top to the base. And now we've got our last piece, which is this F03 piece. And this is our archway that's going to slot right in here. So kind of get it scrunched up like this. And we've got one set of hooks in the back here. We have one set of hooks right here, and we've got one set of hooks at the base. So those are going to be facing upwards. These base ones correspond with these slots, and then there's slots on this C piece, right? The C chunk inside of there, and that's where these further back ones are going to go. So this is a little tricky to get orientated, but once you do, as long as these slots are opened up, this should slot in pretty easy. So I'm just going to try to do one side at a time. So I've got one of the flaps in this side. I'm going to try to be gentle and get it into this back slot on C. So it's going to be a little hard to see, but that back hook is inserted through the slot on C. I've got the rest of the arc inserted into kind of the channel on the F part, which is the base. So now I just kind of make sure these bottom hooks are through these bottom slots. All right, that's looking good there. I'm going to go to the inside and find that find that hook that should be sticking through right here. I'm going to give that a little twist. All right, pretty tricky, but I got a fingernail up in there and was able to give it a small twist. So now we're going to worry about this other side. So let's kind of fold this over. You can kind of see how it's going to fold in now. So let's look at that back hook inside there and try to get that pushed through. All right, this one actually went way easier. So I just pushed it into the slots on the F piece first. So push those, get it down, and then that's going to line it up with the channel that's on C. So that should push back. Now I'm going to worry about the channels on the bottom here. Give it a little tweak, push it. I'll go into the back, find it, find the hook, give that hook a little twist. All right, and now I should just be able to push up. So I'm pushing up here using F as an anchor. Move that up, and there you go. There's the little archway, and your building is complete. Just make sure the steeple didn't pop out, because that likes to pop out, and there we go. So that's the assembly of the foldable laser cut OT Bassett tower. Hopefully you didn't get stuck. If you did, try rewinding in the video a little bit. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the build.